Hey, yo, what's up? So, I wanted to talk about how people, I guess mostly guys, right? They like to cope that just because you're around women, right? Just because you're surrounded by women, it means that they're attracted to you or they desire you. They confuse proximity with being desired, right? And not proximity in the way that the girl will put herself in your life, but you going out of your way to put yourself in their lives, right? So, like, if you decide to take I don't know, what do they say, like take a cooking class, or I don't even know, an art class, or whatever they will get, whatever kind of advice people give, right? They tell you join hobbies or classes or whatever that women usually are, that the gender skews more towards women. They tell you to do that kind of stuff. But that kind of stuff, doesn't really guarantee anything, right? People like to pretend that it kind of guarantees that, oh yeah, I surrounded myself with women, now girls will like me, right? But no, it really doesn't, because each girl there is an individual, right? So she has an individual probability of liking you. So just because, and that doesn't, so, and if you're generally not, you know, not attractive to girls, right? If you don't really get any girls, like I know, right, from my experience, that I don't get any girls, right? They didn't like me in middle school, or I guess you can go back before that, right? Elementary school, middle school, and high school, and college, and post-college, right? If they've never really been interested in me, right? What are the, you can observe that general trend. It's like, hey, women generally don't like me, right? I mean, that's kind of like an objective fact, right? You can say, oh, bro, but just be confident, bro, right? But it's not even like saying, oh yeah, well, it's not even like or like saying a negative remark, right? Like, oh yeah, like, oh, woe is me, pity me, or whatever, that kind of stuff, right? It's just an objective fact that generally women do not like me, because if they did like me, I would have had a girlfriend, by now, right? I would have had more of a normal relationship, more like relationships at a more normal rate, right? Where, you'll get the relationship, like, oh, some kind of girlfriend, even if it's not even a real or a serious relationship, right? In like middle school or high school, that kind of stuff, right? You'll have girls crushing on you and that stuff in your early years. That's what normally happens, right? But because I don't have that experience, I can extrapolate that, hey, girls just aren't interested in me, right? And it's not just like a 1 year thing. It's not like, oh yeah, it just happened during this year, or what are these few years at school, but then I moved somewhere else and then they like me. No, it's like pretty much no matter everywhere I've gone, right? No matter what the social setting is, whether it's school, a different state, a different city, whatever it is, right? They just have never been interested in me, right? And, that's just the way it is. It's not anything that I really have control over, right? Because I don't have agency over deciding whether I trigger positive brain chemistry in another person, right? It'd be nice if I did have that ability, right? Like, oh, if I just do this behavior, it'll work, right? But no, you need to pass the minimum looks threshold for any behavior and stuff to matter, right? If you don't pass that minimum looks threshold, then no one's gonna. No, you're not gonna start caring about anything you do, right? Any behaviors you do are just gonna be interpreted as negative or neutral, depending on how far below the looks threshold you are, right? You have to pass the, oh, are they attractive enough for me to entertain the thought of having a relationship with them, right? Of any kind. You have to pass that, and then they'll start thinking, okay, now how he acts, whatever, all this other stuff starts mattering. But before that, nothing matters, because you don't even register on them, on the radar, right? You're basically an NPC, a background character to them. And, but people are always going to forget, right? Like, it's the whole, oh, bro, just be confident, right? But the confidence doesn't matter if you don't meet that minimum looks threshold, because before that you're just an NPC. You don't register to them. Like I said, you're background noise, right? You're just another person that they won't even notice, right? That it's like, do you even notice? Was it like the air that you're breathing? It's like, no, you just whatever. It's just background noise. That's what you basically are. Especially, due to looks inflation, right? And it just gets harder and harder to meet the minimum looks threshold as time goes on, right? Because oh, you have the internet. Oh, guess what? And social media, the algorithm's just going to curate it to, just show you more and more attractive guys, right? So they see all these attractive guys, and that becomes their normal, right? And then there you go. That's 7 out of 10 guy. It becomes the new normal because they're so used to seeing guys that look at that caliber of looks, right? That becomes their new normal, and the bare minimum standard. It's like, well, because in their head, since that's the only type of guy they see, that's what a guy should look like, right? This is well, it's like, what do you mean? This guy should, all guys should just look like this, right? I-5 south, passenger cars, buses. And that's how looks inflation slowly makes it harder to reach the minimum looks threshold, because like it's not everyone can fraud max or looks max or whatever their way into appearing as a 7 out of 10, right? Because that just by nature, right, if everything's on a bell curve, that's going to be above average. And if not everyone can be above average, right? Because let's say even if everyone did have that level of looks, then people will just want to hyper fixate on the guys that are slightly above that level of looks, right? So it'll always be trying to compete for the top level of whatever niche or arena that they're trying to get guys from. So and I guess going back to the main point, because it's like way off topic now, right? Just surrounding yourself with women, right? I guess I always use the example of the English class, but I just thought of something, right? I was actually in a middle school. They had this cooking class in middle school that you didn't get to decide which class you were in, but they just put you in a random one, like some random miscellaneous class. And one of the ones I got was cooking, and just by chance there were a lot of girls in that class, right? I was almost the same case as that English class, where I was like maybe one of maybe 6 other guys, right? So it was like five or six other guys in that class, right? And you know what the brutal thing was, even though it was a group class too, so I was in a group with other girls, but they never really talked to me at all, right? They would just kind of do whatever. They'd talk amongst themselves and kind of just, give me, just to talk to me the bare minimum. And it's like, oh, you can do this or whatever, like this. And, I just ended up washing dishes there because I didn't I guess we just didn't interact, right? So I just washed dishes because that's a very solitary task, right? So it's like they finished using a cooking utensil or a bowl or a dish, and I would just wash it, right? And that was the end of it, and we never really interacted. But meanwhile, I remember when they were first assigning groups in the beginning of that class, this guy looked over at me, and they were giving me a thumbs up when they saw that I was in a group full of other girls, right? As if that even really mattered, right? But because the reality is it didn't matter, right? I didn't end up attracting any of the girls. None of those girls were attracted to me, and they're like, oh yeah, right, like, oh, whatever. That's not even the girl voice, right? It's like, oh, tea, or whatever, right? They weren't all like happy and giggly like you would think, right? They just were like, whatever. They just didn't care about interacting with me, or trying to, oh yeah, I need to get this guy to like me, right? Or like, oh, I need to look my best because I want this guy to be attracted to me, right? Just the way they do with guys that are actually attractive, right? And the guys they actually want to attract, right? When girls will try to, like, what is the word, like, preen and groom themselves to try to make a guy notice them, right? and to look the best. It's like, that kind of stuff didn't happen, right? They just were whatever. They didn't pay attention to me. They just gave me dishes so I could wash them, right? It's like basically peasant work. Like I just did the background NPC work, right? While they did their cooking stuff and did whatever. I would just wash dishes because, like I said, it's a solitary task. You don't really need to interact with the dishwasher. It's like I'm just in my little corner, washing dishes while they do their stuff and interact together. So, and yeah, nothing came of it, right? And then, there's the English class, right? Where I already talked about a ton of guys, right? A ton of times. One of the few guys, tons of girls, they never interacted with me. Basically over. Right? Yeah, it's like they could have, right? Because we read the book, and then we were supposed to discuss it in a group.
Continue straight.
But the girls never, in the group, they just never asked for my opinion or anything, right? But, I looked at the other groups. Of course I was going to eavesdrop on the other groups with the guys. And how am I not going to pay attention to that discrepancy in behavior, right? Where these girls are talking and asking and laughing and giggling with these other guys, but they don't even acknowledge or talk to me, right? Like, why is there such a big difference, right? Or the guy in the biochem class, right, that I talked about in a very early video, where my crush, right? I thought, oh yeah, if I get a really high grade on this final or midterm, then my crush will like me, right? I'll just put my test like nonchalantly on the desk because I'll sit next to her, so she can, when they pass them back out, right? Oh, I scored so high, so maybe she'll compliment me, or try to ask to study with me, right? Which is, I guess, almost a cope, right? Like I guess subconsciously I knew that that's the only way to leverage myself, right? Almost beta bucks, but with like homework, school answers, right? Because I know that girls aren't going to be attracted to me, so my only hope is to leverage resources, right? But now I realize what it is, and I realize that that's not actual attraction, so there's no point, right? So I'm not going to do that. But yeah, I thought, yeah, I'll just leverage homework answers, and maybe then she'll like me, or test answers or whatever, right? Then leverage my knowledge, and then she'll want to talk to me, and then we can, then she'll develop a crush on me because, oh yeah, girls like smart guys, right, bro? All these copes, right? But, just surround, like, it all goes back to the end of it, right? It's like, I tried that advice, right? Oh, just be around girls, bro. Surround yourself with the girls. That'll make, then you'll find one that likes you. But, it never really works, right? And then, like, again, more recently, I went to the bookstore, and yeah, there were cute girls at the bookstore, and guess what? They didn't pay attention to me, right? They're just busy checking out the books, not checking out me, right? Which is, something I wish it wasn't that way, but it is, right? It's just a brutal truth. But it is what it is, right? The brutal reality of just being undesirable, being an NPC, right? That's just my life, right? Just a background character to women, and the unchosen male, right? That's what I am, right? That's what I've always been. So yeah, just because you surround yourself with women doesn't mean, or doesn't guarantee, that they'll eventually like you or notice you at all, right? So yeah, that's kind of it for now. So